All right, guys, so you can see we've got some directions up on the board. If you don't already have your Chromebook out, go ahead and pull out your Chromebooks. Go on Google Classroom, and you're gonna look for the formative called engineering terms. It's a quick 5-question formative. Answer those questions. Once we get done, we're gonna talk about the questions. Make sure you're on the correct thing. So, no, it's called engineering terms. Again, guys, you're looking for the one called engineering terms under Google Classroom. Should be the third one down. Right? It's gonna redirect you to the formative page. You're gonna answer those 5 questions, and again, we're gonna talk about your responses. This is for me to see what you guys know. Again, last week we were doing inventions, so a lot of this stuff should kind of look familiar to you from what we did last week. Right? Guys, with your Chromebooks, if you don't have your Chromebooks out, get those out a lot. Where's your Chromebook at? Where's your Chromebook? Right, so go ahead and pull that out. Log on, get on your Google Classroom. If you have any issues with getting on to formative, please let me know. You should be able to log straight in through your Google account.
So go ahead and start looking at the next thing. So after everybody gets done here, we're going to start looking at a video on the inventions and innovations throughout the district. The video's already uploaded, so you're welcome to watch it. Alright, we're on the other screen. Back in the classroom, it's the very first thing you see. Click on. See a cushion? No. Cushion, did you already do the formative? You have to go through, so go ahead and log on to formative first. Right, the video we're going to do is in class. Go back to the third one down, engineering terms.
This is my I'm feeling.
You got it, Justin?
That's not bad.
Oh dang, it's moving quick.
Shut up.
Guys, if it's asking you for a join code, that means you're not already in my class, so give me 1 second and I'll get that for you.
Yo, I gotta get these freshmen ass, bro.
Wait, so I'm on the Google Classroom, but there's no.
So it should be the third one. No, you're on the E-class.
Yeah, but there's no.
Okay, so go to the third one now. It says engineering terms. And it should redirect you to the formative page. You're off to a great start. What's up, Maya? You need the join code as well? So you're not in my Google Classroom?
Oh. Sorry, my bad. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
That's good.
Wait, but I didn't even
It's sent to me.
Okay, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
just kidding. I don't really know. I don't.
Okay, I got you.
Oh, yeah.
I have to earn every cent though. I have to earn every cent though.
Presentations, no, I haven't.
Gotta earn my keep.
Because I had some people that weren't here today that we presented. So.
Not gonna lie, I did not think he was gonna let me like get his phone. I thought he was gonna like let me. Yeah, this is his phone. Like I thought it was gonna like that was gonna be like my own camera, like that I was gonna get.
You have a camera like a room?
Yeah,
Wait, you're in the class, right?
yeah, technically. Different shots of the class too.
Alright guys, I've got about half of y'all that are starting on that. The other half are going, please. So this is informative. This is for me to see what you know, and what I need to work on moving forward with what we're gonna be doing the rest of this unit. Again, some of those terms you should recognize.
Identifying the problem.
We'll talk about that. Guys, I hear a lot of conversation, right? I know not everybody's doing so.
I got a bait.
Record that for your brother. You just record.
Guys, I see hands up, but I also see people that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
I'm good right now. I'm good right now. I got you. I look at our playing game. I'm back in the right now.
Guys, let's take about 4 more minutes. I've started the timer. I see a lot of us are done, which is great.
Hear me out. These are each $5.
I get you.
How much they paying? How much they paying?
Oh, great. Trying to share? Trying to share?
Cameraman, you gotta.
Maybe just, yeah.
You're not even recording him. Like, closer.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, cameraman gotta eat too.
Answer those 5 questions.
This is like,
All right, I've got about 13 people who've already finished and submitted, right? We're looking pretty good. We are missing, it looks like a lot of us are missing the same questions. We talked about these in just a minute. Okay, so you get you the password. So go back.
okay.
Come over here with me. We're gonna.
I want 30 minutes. I'm not waiting an hour for no food.
I thought you were gonna say you want to write.
You're waiting an hour for food. Bro, if you don't go somewhere else.
So type in P34. P34. And that's going to prompt you to create an account. We've already have it created. So it's gonna create an account, Google.
Wait, did y'all see that?
It'll take just a few minutes to answer those 5 questions.
Closer to your house.
Then it won't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna watch that together. So we're gonna watch that together. But that's okay if you wanna go ahead and look ahead.
Yeah. They thought about you last time.
You got anything?
Have like 10 people in your house too.
You know what you're supposed to be doing right now? No, not that. So go back to the classroom.
Yeah. I saw you. I was over there. I saw you. I was over there. You didn't hear me.
Was that on Friday?
Up on the board, up on the board, what is this? Go on Google Classroom.
I saw you, bro. I saw you. Yeah, I was over there.
So you're looking for the one that's labeled engineering.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Word.
Log in.
You didn't even give me it.
See if you.
You didn't even give me it.
Log in your Google account. Take a few minutes and answer those 5 questions. Okay?
No.
Alright guys, so I'm still missing quite a few submissions. Right?
No. I'll hear you out.
I think it's just
Guys, Christian, Rice, I need y'all to get on and do that comment. But you're on the wrong thing then. I need you to know.
Today.
I know, but we're doing that next, right? I need you on the format. Right, what is it called?
It's called engineering.
Okay, so find the thing that's labeled engineering. Just go back to it.
Why'd you make that stink face?
I don't know. It smells odd. Very odd aroma.
Guys, I want to get moving on, so if you have not completed, please get the last couple questions answered, and then we're moving on from this.
Really, like what is this? I don't know. It's odd. And I never smelled anything.
Just right now.
Let me know if you keep it. Let me know if you keep it.
Yeah. Put your money where your mouth
What? You car? Oh? Yeah. Are we gonna talk about
Alright guys, now we can move on so we can watch this video, right? So much like the first period class, it looks like the last couple of questions we had issues with. Alright, so again, I want to talk about these questions real quick. So I'm going to pull this up on the screen. Right. So everybody, let me get your attention on this, please. Table 3.
I'm trying to leave a mark, nigga. Hey.
Okay. So we just got done with our presentations, right? What do we do our presentations on, Dorian? What do we do our presentations on? That you just got up here and presented last week. Inventions, right? What is an invention? Is it something that's already been created, or is something that's entirely new? Something that's entirely new, right? So if we look here at question 1, the creation of something entirely new is called an invention. Okay? That's what you guys just did your presentations on. Now the process of taking an invention and either expanding on it, finding new uses for it, upgrading it, whatever it is. That's called what, Carla? An innovation, right? So when we're looking at inventions and innovations, all right, I'm gonna skip over question 3 for right now and move on to question 4. What comes first in the creation process? Go ahead, Christian.
Wait.
These are your 2 options up here.
Oh, okay.
Which comes first?
What is innovation?
What did I just say? Somebody at his table wanna help him out?
Well, innovation. That's the
Go
answer.
ahead, come on.
Invention. That's
What's the difference between an invention and an innovation?
It's a process of moving, like, new uses that exist.
New uses of it, right? So an invention is creating something that's never been created. Innovation is taking and finding either new uses or updating it, like the phone, right? The phone from its first creation till now is completely different, right? So when we're looking at the creation process, I have to create an invention first, and then I can do some innovations to it. This one, right, I want you guys to kind of pay attention to this word during the video when we're watching it. Construction is the different styles in which things are built. Right, you've got steel construction, brick, concrete, the different ways of building or large, usually some kind of large structure, right? That's called construction. Those are the different types. And then question 5, right? We did our career presentation a couple weeks ago. What are the different fields of engineering called, Joshua? Disciplines, right? Got it up there. So. All right, guys. So again, I'm gonna go through and look at these and just see kind of how everybody did. We're gonna move on. So I've either got paper copy you can use, or the questions for the video we're about to watch are on Google Classroom. If you're someone who prefers typing, right, you can do it on Google Classroom. But again, I'm gonna be watching the screens, making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you want a paper copy, go ahead and raise your hand so I can bring that to you. Please, man. Maybe you wanna do it, type it or write it down? You gonna type it? Huh?
No, I was.
Copy, y'all gonna do it on the computer? Computer, Caleb? You already started? Well, paper copy or computer? Computer. The questions, yes, we're gonna be looking at the historical innovations and inventions. I'm gonna put a video up on the screen, we're gonna watch that. Paper or computer? Huh? That's what I'm asking. Do you wanna write or do you wanna type? Which are you faster with? Question?
Huh? I'm bad.
Wait, actually,
Paper, anybody? You wanna do it on computer? That's fine. You can change your mind if you want. No, you wanna do it on computer?
It's only 10 questions.
I don't.
So much of it just so.
Huh? Not been such a boring.
next period,
Alright guys, so again, when I started playing the video, the conversations need to stop, the games need to be off, right? Or you will not have a choice but to write because you'll be locking the screens.
Yes, sir.
So, go ahead and shut it down. Get on what you're
We can
supposed
get
to be
paper
on.
copy too.
Yo, my name Bennett, and I ain't Bennett.
You guys want the lights on or off?
I'm trying to diffuse the situation.
But again, that means if I'm turning the lights off, right, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
This video is sponsored by Brilliant.
Yes, right.
Yeah, should go up.
So again, this is what you understand. Format is check you guys understand. What do you understand? What don't you understand? What do I need to cover more? So did you do the formative? Yeah. So then that'll show me what you understand and what you don't understand. Alright guys, you all sit down. I'm gonna start the video. Alright, y'all go ahead and give me your attention up on the screen so you can answer these questions. Again, we're looking at the history of engineering now. So you're gonna see some things that you talked about during your presentations last week. Right? You may see some things that somebody else talked about. Right? But it's gonna cover some stuff that I know for a fact we didn't see.
This is the Pessa canoe, a 10-foot long canoe that was found in the Netherlands, and it is the oldest known boat, dating back to roughly 8,000 BC. And despite what it looks like, it survived longer than the Titanic. Quite impressive, maybe they knew something. But boats have been around for thousands of years. It wouldn't be until 1783 that humans would take to the skies for the first time. And then in 1961, we would leave Earth's atmosphere for the first time. And then in 2016, we finally got Pokemon Go. So let's see all the things that happened in between. After the Pessa canoe, over the next several thousand years, we got things like irrigation, which transformed agriculture. The wheel wouldn't be invented until about 4000 BC, originally meant to help with pottery. The pyramids and Stonehenge were being worked on around the same time, but actually several other megaliths or stone structures were made during these pre-Jesus times, as we found in Turkey, France, Korea, and more. But one of the most famous architectural constructs, obviously still used today, is that arch. The arch dates back to almost 2000 BC, and it was used extensively by the Romans. And the most famous structure made by the Romans that originally had 240 arches on it is the Colosseum, still to this day the largest amphitheater in the world. The dome, aqueducts, concrete, and glass blowing were all also inventions made by or used and perfected by the ancient Romans. The Pantheon, still standing today in Rome, is the world's largest unreinforced dome. Most concrete structures today are reinforced, meaning they contain wire mesh or rebar to improve tensile strength, but the Pantheon does not. Thought that was pretty cool. Now, here's a question. How would you keep something cold or even frozen for months at a time if you didn't have a refrigerator or freezer? Well, because people back then weren't able to just move to Canada, they needed another solution. And those were ice houses, dating back to about 1780 BC. We have found these in several locations, including China, Iran, Greece, and Rome, and they're basically big underground chambers with thick walls that were stuffed with insulation, like straw or sawdust, to maintain a cool temperature. And basically all it could do is slow how fast ice melted. They would gather this ice during the winter and then keep it in the ice houses for as long as possible to keep drinks cold or preserve food just like we do now. But it wouldn't be until the 1800s that practical refrigerators were invented, mostly for industrial use. And in 1913, the first home refrigerator came to market. Then you know who's stealing our jobs and just needs to go? Water wheels is what someone probably said in around 300 BC. Because these allowed us to harness energy from the water and use it for mechanical purposes by connecting the axle of the wheel to a series of gears and shafts that would crush grain into flour, taking away the need for a lot of manual labor. And it wouldn't be for another 1,000 years roughly that the first windmill would be made in Persia, also for the purpose of grinding grain and pumping water. And speaking of water, do you ever just need some, but it's too far down in the well? Well, in 234 BC, this thing was invented. This is the Archimedes screw, patent pending, one of the first hydraulic machines, and they are still used to this day in irrigation, hydropower generation, and wastewater management. Archimedes also did a lot. He created different systems of pulleys. He defined the idea of a lever and used that principle to make a weapon that would lift boats out of water. And he made a heat ray where apparently he used a series of mirrors to focus sunlight onto enemy ships, which would set them on fire. Now, moving on, the first digital computer, the ENIAC, was invented in 1945 to help calculate artillery firing tables for the U.S. Army's Ballistic Research Lab. Basically tables that would tell you what angle to fire based on the gun you're using, distance from the target, and more. But the first analog computer, well, that dates back to 100 BC, known as the Antiq mechanism. This was an astronomical calculator, and with its roughly 37 gears, it could track the movement of the moon, the sun, possibly the 5 known planets at the time. It could predict eclipses and the phase of the moon decades into the future. This device was so advanced for its time that modern scholars are still puzzled by how ancient engineers were capable of creating it. And this mechanism was an invention of the ancient Greeks, who also made the first catapult, the first crane, Archimedes, and the first alarm clock. This thing was actually invented by Plato, and essentially water would flow slowly from the top vessel to the one below. And after this second vessel was completely full, maybe after 8 hours, it would quickly be emptied to the next vessel. This would force air out of a small opening, which would make a whistling sound that could wake you up. Unfortunately, there was no snooze button, so what's the point? But okay, now we're going to make a small jump to 1620, because, well, a lot happens between then and today. So we'll just skip over things like paper, compasses, mechanical clocks, eyeglasses, the Great Wall of China, and the printing press. But those happened before 1620. Okay, so it's 1620 and boom, the first submarine was invented by the Dutch engineer Cornelis Drebbel. It used oars to steer, and it could take in and expel water to change buoyancy and go up and down as needed. Fast forward 155 years, where an American named David Bushnell designed a submarine called the Turtle to be used during the American Revolution. And on September 7th, 1776, that submarine became the first submarine to ever be used in war. But what really changed the game for transportation, among several other fields, was the steam engine. This was first built in 1698 by Thomas Savery, where he said, hey, if I heat up water, I can use that steam to move stuff. And just like that, we got the steam engine. The first application of the steam engine was to pump water out of flooded mines, but we eventually ended up putting this thing on boats, locomotives, and in textile mills and factories. This was known as the Industrial Revolution. Now, James Watt, the guy who got the power unit named after him, is the most well-known name when it comes to the steam engine. But he did not invent it. He greatly improved upon it in the 1760s, and it was after that that we got the first locomotive, the steamboat, textile machinery, and everything else associated with the Industrial Revolution, which we say did not start until James Watt made his improvements. For reference, before the steamboat, Europe to America was a 6 to 8 week journey. By 1838, you can make that journey in about 15 days by steamboat. Now, the steam engine is an external combustion engine, which basically means the thing you burn, coal in this case, is outside the engine, as it has to make the steam first, that then moves the piston. The internal combustion engine, invented around the 1860s and 70s, was different in that its fuel, or gasoline, is burned within the engine and directly contributes to the motion of the piston. The internal combustion engine was arguably just as, if not more influential than the steam engine, because it led to cars in 1886, first invented by Carl Benz, yes, as in Mercedes-Benz. The motorcycle in 1885, the first airplane in 1903, yes, that famous Wright brothers plane, that had an internal combustion engine on it. It also led to tractors, trucks and buses, lawnmowers, chainsaws, and snowmobiles. And it's still the engine used in almost every single form of transportation on Earth today. Now,
real quick, I just want to pause this. Like, I see some good answers getting written down. I don't know if y'all, just that last part, 5 of the things they just talked about, I don't remember if they were all from this class, but they're things that you guys just showed us, right? You just presented on those last week. With the car, the plane, the motorcycle, right? I know a couple of those were in this class. So again, you're seeing history of not only inventions, but of engineering and how it's changed throughout the years, right? I noticed some of y'all are watching the video on your own, which is absolutely fine. It is on Google Classroom, so if you prefer to do that, just so you can kind of pause and do what you need to do to find these answers, that's fine. Okay? But again, if we're not watching the video on our screen, we should be focused on the video up here.
If it was 1868 and you wanted to cross the United States, then maybe she isn't worth it, because that would be a 6-month trek by horse. In 1869, this was brought down to about 1 week through the creation of the Transcontinental Railroad. This 3,000-kilometer track took about 6 years to make, and 2 companies were actually in charge of constructing the majority of the railroad. The Central Pacific Railroad